Too Deep. It's a reboot by Burnt Island Games. Now, this was a little bit of a weird situation. I think it was last month that they actually launched it initially, and it was going to fund. It was going to fund, but it was very low after a couple days, and so they canceled it early because I think it was an artificially low goal. I don't remember what it was, but it was one of those where it should have funded, it was going to fund, and they said it's not funding fast enough, so we need to cancel and reboot. Take that as you will. Some people look at that and go, okay, you know what? They're optimizing it. They're making it more appealing. I understand that. Some other people go, anyway. I have mixed feelings. Now, this game, unlike something else that I talk about in my video for next week, this is truly what I would call a semi-co-op competitive game. I do not think a lot of games do that well. I think a lot of games that try it end up falling and tripping over themselves, and they either make the hidden player too powerful or it's just completely unbalanced. And so they have basically done that without calling it that, essentially. And I think that's smart because it's smart branding, because I think a lot of people get turned off by that terminology in the first place. What's different about this one, after having read the rules, is you're going to be trying to manipulate. You are these mind psychic guys controlling bad guys and helping them commit crimes so that you can get evidence for a deeper crime or a deeper conspiracy. But when you're controlling them, you're going to be left with decisions to make depending on how much evidence you want to get. If you want to get more evidence, it's going to corrupt you, essentially. It's going to give you more evidence. But if you want to stay on the more straight and narrow, as if you can, while committing a crime, then it's going to give you less. And so it's going to be a risk-reward. Now, the amount of corruption that you have is hidden and not revealed until the end of the game. And what happens at the end of the game is, if you all win, in that sense, if you are able to foil the final plot, the person with the most corruption takes a big hit in terms of endgame scoring. But here's the caveat, is that you're all contributing to the individual mission, and there's a couple missions throughout in each round, and then there's an overall mission that you're trying to do. And if you do not achieve that overall mission, then the person with the most corruption, again, nobody knows who that is, because it may change throughout the game, that person gets a bonus at the end. So I think it's a clever way of doing that type of mechanic in a game like this. Now, personally, I don't like the color scheme. I'll get that right out of the way. I don't like the fact that they went with miniatures. I think you could have gone with anything else. And again, it's a price point issue for me. I think it's the over deluxeification, and you just don't need it. Give me standees. Give me just tokens in this sense. Give me something that stands up. Give me a meeple. I don't care. It's going to save me 10 or 20 bucks overall. And so I think it's better from my standpoint, my wallet standpoint, where I'd rather spend the money elsewhere. So it'll be interesting to see, because I believe I think that's the deluxe version. They have a retail, and then they have a deluxe. Now, again, if you want to talk about value, oftentimes these retail games are not good value when you're factoring in MSRP and the discount from MSRP, including free shipping if you're getting it through one of the major retailers. So really, a lot of these games, even though they say, come get it now, I think really you're going deluxe or you're not going. The interesting thing about this game is they're doing unlocks. So I think they got a little scared last time when it didn't fund fast. And so with those stretch goals being what they made to entice people, especially on the higher ticketed item of the deluxe version, the Kickstarter version, they're going to do some unveiling of these stretch goals. Now, I almost said daily there because I thought they were, but they're actually not daily stretch goals. They're every couple days, or it's sort of spread out. So that's interesting too. It makes you wonder, sort of, are they going to be bigger? Are they going to be smaller? Are they actually going to entice people to back at this higher level or not? This graphic is really just showing you, hey, your morality is evolving. It's that corruption I talked about. You're gripping, they call it gripping. You're basically controlling these criminals and forcing them to do what you want. and you're moving around the city, there's police and there's hot zones where you're going to be able to use the abilities of these tiles only if there's no police present. So it varies in that sense. You've got your quests, and you have to do lower level quests to be able to do the higher level quests along the same path. So it's got some unique features there, and so I think it's really worth looking at. Now, for me, again, I think this is probably going to be down to the last minute for me, but I'm looking at probably picking this up at retail because, as you can see right there, I'm a standee and a pawn guy. I am not a miniature guy in a game like this. If I'm a miniature guy, give me all miniatures. Make it a dungeon crawler. Make it something that's going to have a little bit more pop to it. In a flat board game like this, I'm completely okay with standees. Frankly speaking, I think the standee art a lot of the times is better than what gets done and what I could do painting-wise. So I think that is really the selling point for me. Is I'm probably going to wait for retail, but I'm going to be interested. I'm going to be following along to see what these daily reveal or these. See, I did it. These reveals intermittently are going to give to this Kickstarter edition. Again, lid doesn't do anything for me. Miniatures doesn't do anything for me. Custom bases doesn't do anything for me. Timed reveals. Here you go. A week apart. So you're going to put them a week apart. They better be worth it. You know, you are hyping this up already. You're already telling people we're not going to reveal something for another week. So it better be something that entices people, because otherwise you have this huge lag between these reveals that is going to be a big lull in the campaign otherwise. And lulls tend to worry people. People do not like lulls. People do not like to see funding remain stagnant. That worries people about whether or not they're going to get their value from it, because that's why people are backing this now, is they want to get the value. And so the value is going to be determined by these reveals. And if these reveals aren't worth it when they do that, I think you're going to see people back out in the middle of it. It'll pop back up like the end, like it usually does, but it'll be interesting to see from that standpoint. Now, they have a few stretch goals, but again, these are pretty spaced out. So I don't think that they're expecting a lot of these stretch goals, and that they're going to do a lot of stretch goals in that sense. So it'll be interesting to see the combination of things of where they're really going to put the focus, and what they're going to focus on with the stretch goals versus the big reveals. Are the big reveals going to be expansions? Are they going to be mini expansions? Are they going to be an additional like campaign game where you're carrying over stuff? I don't have a clue, but it'll be interesting to see what goes in each pile, and then especially how far the stretch goals get. Part of me doesn't like that, because part of me feels like if they don't hit the stretch goal, they'll just throw the stretch goal into the reveal. And so it seems a bit disingenuous in some of these campaigns, and I think that's what Simon ran into, is when they weren't funding, they started just to do the daily reveals because it was going to be there anyway. And so I don't like that, but it is now in actuality in a lot of these campaigns, especially if they're putting some of this stuff out there and they just can't hit it. So it'll be interesting to see what actually happens from that standpoint. Again, reading the rule book, it's not as complicated as it looks. You've got 5 phases in each turn. You're acting. It's got a lot of symbology. I think that's going to be the biggest learning curve. And then it's just going to be figuring out what you want to do. John Gets Games, watch that video. That guy does amazing work. So I really think that that's a great thing. And then they've got a whole bunch of quotes here. I'll talk about quotes and other things like that in the future. Shipping isn't that bad. $13 in the US if you're where I'm at. So it's not horrible, but it's still $74 for a Kickstarter exclusive game. So that's going to be twice the retail price for miniatures that I'm not really interested in a foil cover right now. So it's going to have to give me something else on those daily stretch goals and those reveals to make it me pay basically double the price. So that is it for tonight. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to say just thank you again for any support. Take a look at these Kickstarters. Let me know what you think. What are you backing?